Qdabra Software. Welcome to your weekly webinar, All Things InfoPath. And today we're talking about field validation tricks. So I guess, Marcy, I'm ready for your recording if you want to start doing that. Thanks. It looks like you already have. Great. Well, so once again, we'll do your quick weekly webinar with me today, and I have been InfoPath MVP since 2005. We really enjoy doing these for you. And for the demo today, what I had asked people to do in the chat window here in link, I would like you to prepare a barcode from something on your desk. So if you've got like a book or some kind of an office item, please have that handy. I'm going to ask people to type in the 12-digit UPC, the Universal Product Code, into chat for the last demo. So real quick then, you have to have audio, obviously. You knew that already coming into this, but if you do not have audio, obviously you're not hearing me right now. Our goals with the webinar are to give you something that's quick, easy to digest. We're doing live demos, so you might see some mistakes. And then, you know, if you want more information, if you want the packet of goodies that come with the webinar, just send us your info, and we'll do that. We'll send you the link to the goodies. So just to recap, InfoPath value props. We have these three major value props as part of InfoPath, and I really think that these are what make InfoPath better than anything else out there in the market today for electronic forms. First one, rich field validation and rules-based logic. Well, there are other things out there that have rich field validation. Not a lot of them have both rich field validation and rules-based logic. Certainly, your Office applications, Word, Excel, Access, don't have rule-based logic. You can write a workflow for those, but they don't come with the level of rules-based logic that InfoPath supports. Things like Woohoo. Woohoo is one of these popular internet form engines. They have validation. They actually even have a little bit of logic, but it's nowhere near as deep as InfoPath. So this rich validation and rules-based logic really makes these electronic forms smart, allows you to create smart forms for your business process, and that means that you get better data in. In other words, the data that comes in to your process is going to be of a higher quality. Second main value proposition with InfoPath is the fact that it supports XML, which is the extensible markup language that is the lingua franca of your business processes out there today. And that means that you do not have to have a developer writing code on the server to validate the input. If you were able to submit the form with InfoPath, then there's essentially a contract there that data matches exactly the data source, the schema underlying the InfoPath form. And that means that we can save a lot of time and effort because we don't have to have all this back-end goo. So that's a huge benefit, and that enables what we call loosely coupled architectures. And the other big benefit of InfoPath is the fact that you can connect to these web services without a bit of code. So you don't even need code on the front end. You don't need a developer on the front end to connect to it. And unlike PDF forms or Word, Excel, you can do this all without code. You know, obviously this is another huge advantage. So these three things really make up the essential value prop of InfoPath that really make it the popular tool that it is today. Today's webinar, we're focusing on the first one. That's rich field validation and rules logic. So the first thing I want to talk about is matching patterns. And this slide is a little bit hard to see. I apologize for the lack of precision here with some of the characters within the regular expression cheat sheet. But we do have a quick demo here to show you this as well. And how many of you knew that InfoPath supported regular expression pattern matching? A lot of people that I talk to don't necessarily know this out of the box. If you open up InfoPath Designer, and I have a sample form I'm going to show you called Matching Patterns. If you open up the matching patterns in the Designer, and all of these forms are standalone forms, so you won't have to have any data connection configuration for these, except for the last one. So this is my sample form here, and I'm going to show you a bunch of different patterns. And the first one, first of all, let me show you how you get there. So the patterns, you can actually add a pattern to each field, and you can force that field to match the pattern. And this is one of the relatively not very well known features in InfoPath. Underneath the validation, so you go to Manage Rules in the ribbon. So click on your field, click on Manage Rules in the ribbon. That's underneath the Home tab. And then you can see I've added the validation rule here. You would click on validation here on the right to add that same rule. And you can see mine here is checking to see if the telephone number is equal to a custom pattern. So this actually, if it's not equal, if it does not match this pattern, we're going to show a tip, a screen tip, and we're going to make the field invalid. So what you do is you select your field is already selected for you if you clicked it in the view, and then you select does not match pattern. So that's one of the operators that you have when you're putting these rules together for formatting. And then you put in a custom pattern. Now in this case, what I've done is I've chosen my own custom pattern. But InfoPath comes with 6 custom patterns. You can see it already has phone number, social security number, zip code, email, and URL. But I've actually typed in my own. And this is really the power of this feature, is that if you're familiar at all with regular expressions, a regular expression is, in fact, a way to specify a format for, or a pattern in this case, specify a format or a pattern such that the input has to match. Okay, in this case, and you can see that there's a lot of numbers and weird symbols here in my regular expression. You can learn up. You can actually go and study up on regular expressions. They're not that hard to learn, but basically there are these symbols. And let me go to the site actually where we have some good information. I've included a link to this site at the bottom of the form. There are a lot of sites out there that will teach you about regular expressions. They're very well utilized in the industry, and they do not require any kind of writing code that's compiled via Visual Studio or anything like that. They are they're pretty much standalone. Just trying to get to the site here. I'll verify that the link works for you. And it looks like I've got the wrong link in there. Well, I'll fix that link up. But there are a lot of things. Oh, there it is. Okay, so it did work. Okay, so this is a guide to regular expressions, one of the many. And you can quickly, within the course of 20 minutes or so, read this and actually try some things out. And this is the, it's got a nice summary of the regular expressions, what they're used for. Here's part of the cheat sheet that I showed. And basically what we're trying to do is create a regular expression that matches a pattern. So go back to our form. We want to match this pattern. If it doesn't match this pattern, we want to show some kind of a warning. Now, notice that my regular expression is a little bit more advanced. If I copy this and replace it with the standard issue regular expression, you can see that the InfoPath comes with a telephone number, but this regular expression is a little bit more rigid. So it requires that I have an area code versus mine, which I believe does not require an area code. So if we try this out now in the preview, then you'll see that I've got these different patterns. So if I type in just without my area code here, it's going to catch that. So they both are doing that, but you can actually create a regular expression that doesn't just match the regular 7-digit number. You can do one that you can say you don't have to have your code basically. Okay, so that's telephone numbers. Similarly with postcodes, zip codes, you can use the out-of-box variant of InfoPath, or you can use your own custom one. Here again, I'm using a custom pattern I just copied from that website for my zip code. And here you can see that I want to take any number from 0 through 9 digit, and I want exactly 5 digits. And this is not necessarily the most optimal regular expression. You can create your own. There's lots of ways to create the same pattern. There's not any one de facto standard here. And then we want a dash and then 4 digits here at the end. And that's an optional. That question mark means optional. So we should be able to, with that, enter just that. You see there's no validation. And we can also enter it with the 4-digit. Okay? Out of the box, if we were to pick the InfoPath out-of-box pattern, notice that it has 1 for zip code and 1 for zip code plus 4. Just the zip code, obviously, there's not one that matches both. So ours did. So that's an example of a custom pattern. And you can actually create your own custom patterns to do all kinds of things. Here, what I've done is I've also created one for username. And this is just typical Windows username type of a thing. If you're using a username function, that will obviously be the same kind of format. We have one for URL. If I type in Australia, it'll work. So it's more advanced than the one that comes out of the box with InfoPath. Obviously, if I leave out something, it's going to complain. We want the slash at the end. If we leave out one of the T's in HTTP, it's going to complain. So you can see there we have a nice URL validator. It's better than the out of the box. Email obviously is out. There's an out of the box version, but this one also is a little more complex. Just put my name there. If we leave out the .com at the end, notice that it does complain. So that's a nice email validator for email. And then finally, we have a credit card one, and this one takes either Amex. Should be getting my credit card information. It takes either Amex. What did I do wrong? Maybe one more digit here. One more here. So that's a fictitious Amex number. It also takes a Visa. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so those are some quick patterns that you can use to validate your fields. Okay, so let's talk about something else now. Any questions on that, please put them in the chat window, and I'll get to them at the end of the session. So the next thing I want to talk about is translators. So one of the things that people want to do is they want to take the spaces out of their field. They don't want to. They basically want to make sure there's no spaces trailing their field. For example, if you have a name field, you don't want to allow people to put spaces at the end. In addition, sometimes you want uppercase. You want to go from lowercase to uppercase. And then we have this really cool one at the bottom. The third example is going to be showing highlighting on a due date. So let me just show you these real quick. And this is going to be in the translating input file. Okay, so here are 3 examples. And once again, what I'm doing here is I've created a, you can see here, if I add my name with a bunch of spaces at the end, and if I tab out and go back, those spaces are gone. How do we do that? What we did was we set a default value. Actually, in this case, I think we set a rule. So we have a rule that sets the value of the field that we're tabbing out of, and it's setting it equal to the function translate. So the dot here specifies the current field that you're on, and then we have a space right here that we're replacing with a blank. Okay, so that's one translate function. As you can get to translate, it is one of the functions that comes in the stock InfoPath form. You just go in here to strings, text, and it is in this list at the bottom. And then you can put in your field, the thing you want to replace, and the thing you want to replace it with. So it's kind of like find replace, but does it automatically. And you want to set that rule on the field that you want to affect, and then have a rule that sets it when you exit out of it. So let's take a look at the next one. The next one is uppercasing. So once again, you can put in a whole bunch of spaces here, and when I tab out, it's going to take them off the end. Uppercasing, that's going to uppercase. This last one is kind of interesting. This is a due date with the automatic formatter. So let's say, for example, you're within 7 days of the due date. You want it to show up as orange. If you're within, let's say, if you're after 7 days, so let's say it's next Friday, it's going to be yellow. If we're a month after, it's automatically going to be green. Now this is kind of nice because it shows that it's approaching, right? If I pick, obviously if I pick tomorrow or today, it's orange. And that's pretty cool because a lot of times you want to show people visually how close the form is getting to being overdue. So how do we do that? First of all, the uppercasing one, and this is in the slide deck as well, we're using we're always running the rule, so there's no condition, and then we're just setting the value, and we're using that translate function. And here what we do is we look for any of these characters, the lowercase alphabet, and we replace them with the uppercase alphabet. And that's a very common translate function that we see a lot in InfoPath Forms. You can go to our website, InfoPath Dev, and you'll see that there are a lot of people that ask for this exact function. Now you can do it backwards too. You can switch these two and go from uppercase to lowercase. Remember, InfoPath is case sensitive, so anytime you have a rule that you're doing a condition on, if you're comparing it to a text string, you have to make sure that you match the case. And that's why sometimes it's useful to lowercase things. The due date is a little more complex. It's got 3 different rules here, one for green, one for yellow, and one for red. And you can see here for the yellow one, this is the most complex one. We have a condition that has 2 expressions. And these expressions, I'm just going to copy these out so you can see these. Here's our friendly notepad. And we'll just boost the font size a bit here. Okay, so there's 2 expressions. That's the first one, and the second one is this. So you can see here that we've got 2 conditions. We're checking to see if the due date, that's the field in the form, is less than or equal to today plus 30. Now we have this really weird translate. It looks like a smiley face, doesn't it? Actually, it's probably somebody with a big dimple on the side of their cheek there or something like that. You have to replace that because the format of the date in InfoPath is it's not just a set number. It actually has this information in it for the time, and so if you're using a full-fledged date time field, you do need to replace that information. Now we're not using a date time field here, and so you could actually get rid of this, I think, and it would actually, that's not true. We will you still need to have a translate here to get rid of the formatting in the default date field, date time field, Yeah, so what you would do is if you want to do it based on time, instead of today, you would make it now. And you'd make sure that your date field is a date time field, and then this will also work. So this translate here at the beginning is set up for date time, even though we're only using it for a date field. You can set it up for date time to have even more precision. So we're basically checking to see if the due date is within the 7 to 30 days out. So this is the one on the bottom is the after 70 days, or after 7 days, and the one on the top is the less than or equal to the 30 days from today. Okay, so that's how we're doing that one. So that's three examples of how to do translate translate input from one format to another. Just gonna check to see if we have any questions. No questions yet. Okay, last demo for the day then is the auto entry, and I think this is the coolest. I'm gonna save the best for the last. And this is a lot of people don't realize that if you're using InfoPath, another way to do validation is just instead of having a field that says it has to be 9 characters, you can just basically have them automatically. I'm just typing here. I'm not tabbing. Okay, it's just automatically moving me to the next place. How do we do this? And some of you may know how to do this already, but this is a really cool technique. And what you're going to do is you're going to create one text box for every number. In this case, you can see in my data source on the right, I've got N1, N2, all the way through N9. And each one is going to have a property that basically when they get to 1 character, it's going to automatically limit it to 1 character, and it's going to move them to the next box when that limit is reached. And that's a very cool feature because it gives you the validation, because you know you're only going to get 1 character per box, and it also automatically moves it on. They don't have to hit tab, so that's very nice. And then what you do is you have another field that concatenates all those together, and that gives you your number. So this is a nice way to enter a Social Security number, or anything that's very fixed, where you don't want them to see the validation after they type it. You want to force them to enter the correct value. So there's no way they can enter the wrong value. Right? Now they can still enter a weird text character here, and then you'd have validation there. But in general, this makes it a lot simpler to type. Now the other thing that we're doing here is we have a field at the bottom. Let me just show you this. That does the same thing. It's actually limited to 12 characters. Now, why are we doing that? Well, there's another really cool feature here, and that is if you have a barcode scanner for your form, when you scan a barcode, a UPC, this is a universal product code, right? All these products have barcodes. If you scan one in, it's automatically going to convert that into a number. And those barcodes are exactly 12 digits long. So when you scan in a barcode using this field, in other words, you're on this field when you preview it, and when you scan in a barcode, it's going to automatically jump to the next field. Well, what's going to happen when that jumps to the next field? When InfoPath moves the cursor to the next field, it always fires the rule. And in this case, we have a rule to look up the UPC code from a web service. So this is a really cool way to scan and query your database to get information for your form. Let's take a look at this. So I have a book here. Where'd it go? Any book will do. So I'm just going to type in this barcode. Now, obviously, I don't have a scanner here, but a scanner will work just the same way, and we've actually developed solutions with scanners that do this. So notice I'm just typing in this barcode, and is this the right one? This is the ISBN. Yeah, I guess this is. So we're 8209. If you've got a barcode, now's the time to type it into the. Okay, notice as soon as I hit the limit, it's querying the web service, and it didn't find. Oops, I missed a number. So I typed it in wrong. 780738209. 579. I guess this must be the ISBN number. I need a barcode. So I'm just going to type in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me try someone else. Someone's been typing for me here. So thanks for playing along here. So we'll take Bob's first, and we're just going to copy and paste it. And it's connecting to the web service, and it's pulling down the Expo non-toxic whiteboard cleaner. Thank you, Bob. Now this one did not have an image, so let's see if we can find one that did have the image. I know everyone wants to share what's on their desktop. So here's one from Mark, and Mark's got the Nestle Raisinette stand-up bag. Way to go, Mark. That's what I want. Now, Duff, yours looks a bit too short, so I'm not going to try yours. You need 12 digits here. We're going to do Marcy's. Marcy wants to play along here. Marcy, yours is too short too. You need to have the numbers before and after. I think yours is too short. Yeah, yours is too short. You need to make sure the numbers are before and after. So let's do Peter's here. Has to be 12 digits long. And we should have added validation to have some nice little error message show up here. And here is, okay, what happened there? Peter, I don't know what that is. That's probably an ISBN. That's the one I tried to type here. That's an ISBN. So that won't work. But Marcy does have fiber, fine oats, and chocolate. Great to see you're eating breakfast, Marcy. That is good. And some of these have images. There's another one that looks like an ISBN. So let's do the 1, 2, 3, 4 one. And let me just show you that this one has an image. And these are pulling these images out from Amazon. So Amazon, of course, provides a lot of things. And we're actually querying Amazon to get this information. So did you know that Amazon has Raisinets for sale? I did not know that. But it's actually, there's a lot of really cool things that you can type in. Anyway, you'll get the form and you can play with it. That's pretty much it for my quick demo today. Once again, this is a very cool technique, especially if you've got a barcode scanner. It will work really well with your InfoPath form. If you want to learn more, please feel free to contact us, and we'll send you out the goodies. I want to thank you for being in our weekly webinar this week. We do have training coming up in October and November. Anson's created a new InfoPath 101 class. If you've got colleagues who want to join us for the starter class, we'd be really happy to have them. In addition, we have the master class online scheduled for October and November, and this is our most popular training class, as some may attest here. I know some of you have probably been in the class. Anyway, thanks for being our customer, and we look forward to serving you again next week with the weekly webinar. If you have any questions, I will answer them now. And Justin's typing. And Thomas, it's about a bottle of Diet Pepsi, but it's not 12 digits. Maybe, anyway, sorry about that. I could try to look it up, but probably, I think it needs to be 12 digits for the web service. Yeah, the website for the reg expression here, let me just go back to that real quick. That's, it's in the form. So we'll send you these samples and you can actually, just going to go there again here, so I can just, I've got it up. What am I doing here? It's coding.smashingmagazine.com, and it's their June 1st, 2009 post on Essential Guide to Regular Expressions. So you just go search for smashingmagazine.com here, 2009-0601. Thanks, Marcy. Thanks, Mark. And let's see, question from Bob. Is there a list of public web services? Yes, I wish there was. What I do is I go to Google and I search for whatever I want. Like in this case, I want a UPC SOAP web service. And if you do this, you're going to get a whole bunch of things, including the one I'm using for the class today, and that is this. I think it's searchupc.com. And this has a free developer version available, which is what I'm using. So if you go to upsearchweb.com, you can see there's the one for generating the barcode. They have actually 6 different web services, so you can convert to a UPCA code, you can generate a barcode, you can get the product information. That's the one I'm using. And anyway, just Google it. Most of the web services are Googleable out there. Thomas has got a question. Right, so there's a nice site out here that Thomas is pointing us to, a Wikipedia site. You had a UPC code, right? So you could have used the first web service to convert it to a UPCA. Great. Thanks for debugging that. Okay, well anyway, thanks again for coming, and we'll be here next week, same time, same place. Next week's webinar is going to be on, I forget, surveys. No, next week's webinar, next week's webinar is going to be really cool. It's going to be on taking the task list in SharePoint, you've got SharePoint tasks, and creating an XML template part in InfoPath so that you can write to the task list and read from it in your InfoPath form. And so we're really excited about that. And Joanne, I think, is going to be presenting that. Joanne hasn't done a webinar in several months, and she's looking forward to that. So anyway, once again, thanks for joining us, and we look forward to doing it again next week. And have a great day.